been amazing to me how we have the videos that have real jiggers being removed get more hits than the intros and the finishing stations. In some of the jiggers, we don't really have any jigger digging going on, but we either introduce the person, and that information is very important because then it gives you an understanding about the person who is being jiggerdack, because you need to get to hear some history about this person. And there is power in history because testimony lies in history. So when we hear people's stories, we learn about them, and so we get to understand their testimonies. And it's really edifying because what we can identify with is the testament, the testimony. And there is nothing as powerful as testimony. The power behind storytelling, the reason why storytelling is an important tool of communication is because storytelling embraces testament. It works alongside testimony. And when we listen to people's stories, we unconsciously relate that to our own. We see ourselves in others. So by listening to their story, we compare that intuitively without struggling as we form mental images. We relate that to our own story. And one of the positive and most frequent testimony I have received through emails from people across the world is that people are able to relate by contrast. They look at what is going on and what I'm describing, and then they are able to reflect that against their own lives. And a lot of people have told me the reason why I watch your videos, the reason why I follow you up until some people around me think I'm weird is simply because when I watch what you do and I listen to what you say, I discover my blessing. And that discovery unleashes the potential in me. I drop the pity party and I forgive those who have wronged me. And I begin counting my blessings. And I get healing from that. And that's true. As you listen to the struggles of others, their pain, your own pain is illuminated. And that there's that comparison that is so intrinsic, it's so deep, and that comparison is automatic, and you begin to compare your life to what you can see. Then your eyes are opened, and as your eyes are opened, you discover how blessed you are. And this is basically why our ministry is just a ministry for people who have had pain, or people who are in pain. These are the people who help us. Our sponsors are people in pain. The money we get to get the supplies and to move comes out of pain, and that is why we don't play with that money, because it's not leisure money. It doesn't come out of a beautiful place. It comes out of the ugly, the aged people on Social Security put their support towards our activities, and we receive it with a lot of thanksgiving and humility and put it to work. And that is how we have managed to stand and to do what we did without really good, big sponsorship from corporates or government or grant-making organizations or churches. We survive and thrive through donations that come from a painful place, sacrificially given by people who naturally are not supposed to give because they are not wealthy. They are very poor people, poor men and women in bed, in a lot of pain. They cannot walk. They are on disability. And they really make a sacrifice towards us. And I would never play with that. I would never take for granted that. And why is it so? Because I can relate to pain. I've lived in pain my entire life. Today I woke up in the morning feeling a lot of pain. And I didn't even want to come out today. But when I had poor Naliaka's jiggers are back and she has been hungry and she cannot walk up and walk, and her condition of dumbness, are they called dumb or mute? People who cannot speak. I think they are mute or maybe dumb. I don't really know. English is not my first language, so a lot of things escape me. And a lot of the people who love me always excuse me. Some of them even email me to correct me with love. And I really correct myself. I have been learning new vocabulary from precious people who hear me goofing, and they write to me and tell me, there you put it wrongly, it's supposed to be this way. And I accept it because it is an education, it's a scholarship, learning without paying anything. So I feel honored and I accept the correction because I know it is sincere. It has nothing to do with making me look stupid or pulling me down or anything like that. It comes with a good spirit, and I accept it with thanksgiving in my heart. And so she cannot speak. And when I heard that jiggers are back, I just couldn't help myself. I think it's because of the pain I was going through last night. So here I am, and praise God, our coming has given her something to eat. It will leave her some food as we go. And the jiggers are dying. So our ministry is the ministry of pain. Our money comes from the painful place. The donations that come are sacrificially given by people who are not very comfortable in their own bodies. People who live with those who have had pain. Mothers with children with cerebral palsy. They can relate to these people. That is why they associate with our ministry and stand with us and stand in the gap. I will forever be grateful to them for the sacrifices they make. And as I've said, I'll always stand and do the right thing, reaching out on their behalf to the hurting in Africa. We've been having mixed reactions about the things I speak. And YouTube has put me on a public pedestal where I get varied opinions about what I'm doing. And we've had people who say, don't even speak, you make me sick. But then we've gotten those who say, and there are more, by the way, there are many, many of them. They say they get bored when I'm not saying anything. And so I choose to honor those positive people. Of course, the talking is not done in every video. I only do the talking where I feel moved to do that. And it comes from the heart. When my heart is open, then I speak a few things. Because the things I speak really come from the heart. They have nothing to do with my intelligence or my education. They come from my heart. It's an oration. It's like a poetic exposition, a poetic expression that is so hearty, coming from my own heart. And sometimes I sit back and listen to what I had to say, and I'm edified, I'm chastised, I'm rebuked by the things I hear. It's as though that was another person, not me. And that is true. God will seize us when we allow Him to, and use us in a way that is truly amazing. He uses human beings. He has chosen to step across His impeccable beauty and reach out to use very crooked human beings, people who don't deserve anything from anywhere, people who are despised by those who know them, sometimes rightly so, sometimes deservedly so. And God just uses these people who should never be used, who are not qualified in any way to be used by God, and He uses them to the annoyance of a lot of people. If some people were ready to choose whom God should use, if He allowed voting, it would be chaos. Because some people would never allow somebody like me, never ever would I be allowed to be used by God. I've had opposition from people locally and internationally. Recently there is a sponsor who gave out money and we cemented somebody's house, and the director of one organization got hold of that because I said it in my narration. I said both names, and so he went and Googled her name and contacted her and started telling her, you should use my organization. I have got ambulances, and you spend too much money to cement that house. If you did that through my organization, you would have spent half the money to do the work, so you are ripped off. And it made this precious lady to begin asking questions, and I explained to her why $200 is the money needed to cement the house I cemented. It involves ballast, sand, cement, transport, labor charges, and that is just it. And so if such a person was given a chance to contribute in the decision making with God, they would never choose me to work in the vineyard of the Lord. They would choose themselves and their own friends and their own favorites, but not me. Unfortunately, God is not a respecter of persons. He has no favorites. I'm not better off just because I gave this lady a lollipop or came with soda. That doesn't make me any better than anyone else. In any case, providence came from him. He's the one who supplied. They only gave her part of what is not mine. In other words, I was only being used as a conduit and nothing more. So there's nothing that makes me more special. Nothing to brag about. It's only the working of God as He partners with unworthy human beings, decides to use them to reach out to His precious children. We are only vessels of service unto humanity, and there's nothing to brag about. I pray that I may never forget this, that this truth may always live in me, that I may never be puffed up and think of myself any better than anyone else, because that will be the beginning of my fall. If the moment I do that, I know I will fail, because the grace will disappear and I will remain naked. And the elements and the enemy and the self and perverted mind that is human will take over. It will lead me nowhere. So daily I pray that I may stay on course, that I may live with the understanding that it's not about me. There are people with more education, people with more networks, people with more money, with means and ability, people with better history. They would be used. Look at me in my wretchedness, in my pain, and He chooses to use me. He is so good, so merciful.
Amini ujumbe mpya, yeye aliyemwamini Mwana anao uzima. Amini, amini nakwambia.